Hello, everybody. My name is Deku, and welcome to. Yes, it's here. It's here. It's finally here. Yes, I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing. I'm doing the Amane Trial 3 video. All right. Will I do Shido or fucking whatever the gay twink's name is? I don't know. All I know is that I'm doing this one. All right. And maybe this is the last Milgram video. Depends on how I feel by the time I get around to editing this. Alright, cool? Are we good? Are we cool? Are we cool and good with that? Are we cool and good with the decision that this creator right here has made in regards to this series that he has been doing for a very long time and has basically lost a lot of interest in? Good, cool, alright, sweet. So, yes, like always, we're going to be doing the, audio drama, and then we're going to be doing, hold on, this needs to be fixed. There we go. And then we're going to be doing the music video. Okay? Cool. This shouldn't be laggy. I know that the zombie stage video was really laggy, and I didn't mean for it to be, but okay, here we are. We're here. We're here. Alright, let's just get started, shall we? Cool. Two children hanging out at the same time, discussing philosophy.
私についてきませんか？導いて差し上げましょう。
You know, the biggest thing about this is that when you hear her say this shit and you're looking at that face, it starts to be pretty clear the implications and the intentions. They're not as pure or innocent as a lot of people want it to be seen as. I love water. Has she changed a lot, or has she just become more herself? Calm down. It's so funny that she's like, I established my own religion, and it involved her killing people. Look, Amane is the fucking goat. I love this character so much, and don't let a single one of you motherfuckers get it twisted. Alright, I love this character. I hate her. I fucking hate her. I hope she dies. I want her put against a wall and fucking shot. But she is the goat. The mistake is not going to be what a mistake. Watch. I mean, that is also very, very true, though, of religions. Religions oftentimes do very much kind of update themselves to be in the more palatable for the conditions and cultures of the day that they are existing in within. This is one of the reasons why that the Catholic Church has always been very pushing for things like gay rights, despite the fact of being very anti-queer within the past. It was one of those things where, yes, it was, one, the Catholic Church was actually becoming more progressive in a sense, but two, it was also politics. It was 100% not actual genuine empathy. It was, but then you had newer popes that were coming around where it was actual genuine empathy and things along those lines that were genuinely feeling these emotions towards people. And you saw this with Leo now, but you also saw this with Francis, right? But it's also one of the things where it can go in the opposite direction too, where like let's take for instance Zionism, right? Zionism isn't, I wouldn't exactly call it a religion, right? It's more of a framework of belief that uses Judaism as a religious framework. Like, they specifically did adapt to queer cultures and other things along those lines in very liberal frameworks of thinking. And I'm going to have to keep establishing this. I don't mean liberal as in progressive or accepting or welcoming, but I mean that in the term of kind of do your own thing. We don't really give a fuck. It's more like the liberal in terms of all is fair and everything sort of thing, and who are we to say, that sort of thing. And that was specifically because of it came more from a reactionary view towards a lot of like Arab based faiths such as Muslims and Islam, right? Which had and has reactionary tendencies and beliefs towards queerness, and they used that as an excuse to to position themselves in opposition to that, right? And that's one of the reasons why you see a lot of times when people are talking about, you know, the apartheid in Palestine, that Zionists will often say, well, they would kill queer people and we accept queer people, despite the fact that, you know, you could look 20 years back and see that neither of them supported queer people. And it wasn't until it was beneficial to them to support queer people, right, that they started doing so. And that's just one of the ways that religion adapts itself to modern cultures and everything along those lines. It's only ever if it's beneficial to them to do so, rather than anything radically progressive or other things along those lines. Um, Unless there it is one of the religions or spiritual beliefs out there that begins to understand those things and accepts them, not because it's beneficial to them, but because it better helps them understand the world around them. And there's plenty of spiritual beliefs that kind of have done that, right? You can look at like Wiccans and witchery and some pagan beliefs, right? A lot of times those are beliefs that have now become very dominated by queer people, right? In terms of those that want to be spiritual, and given the fact that a lot of the main religions and monotheistic or Abrahamic derived religions tend to be very anti-queer, that they moved to these places that didn't have a solid foundation or solid standing, and then thus because they moved into there and were queer, they ended up transforming it into a place that was more progressive and accepting of queerness. But that's just specifically an example.
私は間違っていたんです。今まで私の信じる宗教は普遍がいる。
Yeah, rebellion. Yeah, punk rock. Amaneism.
私の名を残すことが目的のです。
But you just so happen to be in the middle of it.
彼のように。
フータのことだな。
Yeah, fuck Fuda.
梶山フータ。
The only Fuda I fuck with. I'm not even going to continue that.
何か
いなかった。
Come on! I gotta keep moving. Let's go!
やり直せる。
そうです。その希
Yeah,
望
that is actually very interesting, and it kind of seems that the symbolism here is to be that like Amaneism and Milgram are kind of like two and the same, where both is to kind of be like, you know, the judging, right? And given that idea of you make a mistake, you could be deemed innocent or forgiven through the actions of Milgram in the trials. I think the whole meta perspective within this Amaneism plot point is that it is the opposite of that. It is like a dark reflection. It's the other side of the coin, so to say, right? And it is like that on the surface it seems to be the same two things of like, oh, you made a mistake and we'll guide you onto a proper path, but it's a path that is extremely dogmatic and very corruptive in terms of things, which is still transformative, as opposed to Milgram, which still isn't entirely good, right? But people have been transformed by it, and that is through the decisions and the trials and everything. And we see this with Yuno. We see this with Mu and Mahiru, right? and how they have changed because of Milgram. But then you also clearly see that with Amane and this religion that she is forming, that the same thing did happen with Fuda, but it was kind of like, almost like an inverse of this kind of thing that happened with Mu and right? Even if I don't even think you need to say that.
反していました。何度も警告をしたのですがね。
Rules for thee, not for me. It's the exact same thing with freedom of religion and freedom from religion, right? Like it's the same fucking thing. It's so funny, and it's very poignant, and very clearly what they're saying here is the imposition of religious doctrine onto people that aren't a part of that religion, right? And that's one of the biggest things of why a lot like leftists are often, I wouldn't say against religion, but very much opposed to religion as it stands right now. And that is this imposition onto people that are not a part of it, right? It is this like rejection of consent, right? To either be a part of or to not be a part of their institution. And regardless of that fact, they see those that are not within their institution, to be heretical or so on and so forth, and thus, should be punished because their doctrine says one thing, and because they're denying their doctrine, they need to be punished, right? It you kind of see this whole thing, Salem witch trials, right? Where they are a lot of these, what I think it was Quakers, right, where they were imposing their religion onto a lot of women who were either not a part of it or were more kind of adjacent to it, and were then like, okay, well, you're not a part of it, so we're going to punish you for it, right? And that's always been the big thing for me personally of why I've always been against organized religions, right, as an institutions and other things along those lines, is because you can believe whatever you want to believe. You can practice any faith that you want, so long as that faith does not end up being imposed onto others, and or your doctrine and your teachings then allows you to harm other individuals, right? And that's the big thing, right? And that's one of the reasons why Lenin himself spoke on how religion is the opiate of the masses, right? And this wasn't like a thing of saying that, like, oh, you need to be atheist. It was a thing that was supposed to be saying, like, hey, religion often allows for things to go unsaid or uh happen because religion says so, and because of that, it allows for people to become blinded by things, or to be allowed certain things within on earth as we are now, and then thus that allows for more suffering to happen, right? And you see this with, like, again, the Catholic Church, or you can say, like, with the Crusades, and how they, like, were a like an organized warfare, or uh Islam, and Judaism, and all these other things. And you can even say, even like the very basic ideas within some of these religions, such as missionaries, right? The idea of spreading the word is itself a similar idea to this thing here, of where it's like, well, you don't fit within our doctrine, or you broke the rules of our doctrine despite the fact you're not within it, therefore you are punishable. That sort of thing.
ものも医療行為を行われるものも教義に反しています。
I think the perfect ending for Amane would be her being, like, basically, the best way to put this would be, like, dramatically injured, right? and where the only thing for her to survive would be through medical intervention, and it would test her faith then, right? I forget what is it, Jehovah's Witness that deny modern medical practices. I actually have a really interesting story about this. My health teacher, my sex education teacher when I was in middle school, he used to be a firefighter, and one of the things that he brought up once in terms of like, I forget why he said it. I think it was one of the it was just like this idea of being aware of medicine and understanding that like, yeah, you need to go to the doctor, or you should go to the doctor. Yes, it's expensive, but you need to, right? Um, and that was he got called onto an emergency where this guy had a chainsaw accident, right? And it cut fucking deep, right? It cut so deep that um the blood wasn't like dark, it was bright red, which means it was really really deep because it was oxygenated. And the thing that he how he said it was, this guy kept denying. He was like, no, 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 I can't, it's against my religion. And like that was basically the exact same thing he kept repeating was, I'm a Jehovah's Witness, I can't do this, it's against my religion. And my health teacher, he said that he went up to this guy, and as they were like treating him, because they're supposed to be treating him, right? um is he grabbed him by the face and said, look, if you do not get medical attention right now, you are going to bleed out and die in your backyard. And it was him saying that the guy was like, okay, I consent, take me to the hospital. S, you can't be that shook by a fucking insane person saying it. The best way that you can combat ideas like this is that, okay, it's a trial by God. Cool. Then is it not also a trial by God to have things in front of you, and understanding to best persevere and overcome those trials is to do so by any means necessary, or to survive for the sake of God, and thus, using medicine, right? So, like, you get beat up and brutalized and you need medical attention. What does it serve God and his wisdom and his teachings within this framework of you dying when you surviving and overcoming this trial? And if that means gaining medical attention, that you are able to continue enduring more of God's trials.
僕は悲しい。指導のことも真昼のことももっと知りたかったんだ。僕がそう思えたのは最近で、いつだって遅いんだけれど。
Notice how he didn't mention Haruka? Because fuck Haruka.
お前が人を殺したことも悲しい。
何ですか?
The hell's up with that? Yeah!
と考えていたよ。
やめさせればよかったじゃないですか。他でもないあなたが。
止めて欲しかったのか。
はあ？
お前は自分の行いを止めて欲しかったのか。
Ooh, I wonder if it's one of those things where she's like, well, it's God's trials and you're not doing a trial. You're not, there's supposed to be opposition, right? It's almost as if like this religion and this framework kind of operates itself entirely on an idea of crisis constantly happening. And because crisis is not happening, it's one of those things where like the only thing that she can feel is like rejection of that.
殺したかったのか。
She is so fucked up. I love it.
分かってたよな。
いいえ。
again, it is one of those things where like this is just like the reason why she upheld that specific doctrine was to validate herself, right? It was to reinforce her own beliefs and her own actions, right? And it was to then also give excuse and to give reasoning behind her own hatred of other things along those lines. So it every this whole thing with religion within Amine is a lot of people have seen it in the way that I saw people talk about it was that, oh well, she's innocent because it was just forced on her, she was brainwashed, and it's like, okay, cool, even if she was, she's still the one doing it. Brainwashing doesn't make you a mindless drone, right? You know, despite what media says, brainwashing just means that you are now swayed to do certain things, but it is still upon you as an individual to act upon them, right? You still have the autonomy to like not do them. And this is one of the ways that like a lot of real life brainwashing has been broken, was that they stopped themselves from doing things. But clearly with Amine, it was that she wanted justification for her actions. Therefore, she just does everything to constantly reinforce that. And it is also one of those things where it plays so deep into one, the religious trauma aspect, which is very traumatic and, you know, horrifying, but it's also the idea that she is so alien, right, in terms of a scenario and possibility of having happened, right? There's this 12-year-old girl who does not act like a 12-year-old girl, who by all accounts like just isn't one, because her mind is so different in forms of operation and other things that now she operates almost from this like adult framework of trying to constantly reinforce things. And if you look into psychology and other things along those lines, especially like within childhood and adolescence and pediatric psychology, this sort of thing that Amine is doing is practically kind of unheard of, because it only happens once you go through life experiences and your brain starts developing and you have certain hormones and chemicals and other things like that and regulation, and you have socialization within you. So to see Amine kind of be doing these things of like grandiosity and self-validation and other things along those lines, instead of, you know, the typical thing that a child her age would do, where it's just kind of either one, just like following and observing, and role play, which is one of the key like aspects of pediatric development, of taking on a role in empathy. It's almost as if what is very interesting about her is that it seems as if she has jumped to a certain level of introspection and retrospection, right? That isn't really like possible with children her age. But it's even more fascinating is that it wasn't as if she jumped to it and then automatically had all these other things, but she jumped to it, and it is much like how an adult has or speaks in these ways, but much like them who missed key parts of development, she also missed key parts of development. So it's just so interesting to see that it's almost like she is half baked. And I think that's very interesting because that's kind of reflective of like her design and her character and like her like her person, right? Where she is young and like even the things that she is wearing are too big for her, right? You can see that these clothes are too big for her. They're not big enough for her. It's almost like this idea that she's half baked or overdone sort of thing. Um it's almost like you put like a pastry into an oven, but you didn't put the filling in it, but so it comes out looking like a properly made pastry, but the inside filling is missing and it's a little burnt on the edges because it didn't go through all of the steps, but it did come out the same that all of the rest of them did, right?
と思うよ。
そんな人今さら私の周りに
いるよ。お前が救ったやつが。
フータさん。
Oh, I just actually realized what's even more interesting is that Fuda, she did technically intervene. So she did also actually break her own doctrine by stepping into a person's life and intervening within it, right? It wasn't with medical attention, but it was intervening in it, and therefore what difference is that between medical attention and the like with what she did to Fuda, right? Because obviously Fuda was hurting and other things along those lines, and she did reach out to him and intervened and stopped him from basically dying or, you know, devolving any worse physically than he already was. But it wasn't through direct, like, medical intervention, so that's even more interesting of a way to think. Anyway, because I'm paused here, it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this, right? And I know that I had this like opinion before of, you know, kind of feeling like, you know, sudden changes in characters was very, it kind of felt like a rug pull in a way, or like a plot twist for the sake of plot twist sort of thing. And that was obviously because I think whenever you have something so long running or taking so long that you need to kind of establish potentiality of changing, or those potentials for plot twist to be set up from the very beginning for them to pay off and feel valid, right? And that was kind of one of the reasons why, like, yeah, I really like that Moo said she was sorry, and why I actually like Moo a lot more now, but I still hold the opinion that I felt it was almost like rushed in a way, right? Where you only have 3 trials. You only have 3 of these discussions, and she's one way in 2 of them, and then suddenly in the 3rd one, she changes. When how it should have been was she's one way in the first one, and then in the second one, you know, she's the same way, but halfway through it, there's like these hints and pieces where it's like, okay, I think something different can happen. That's not very subtle. It's something that is like an actual direct hook and bait to like latch onto. And then you have the 3rd one come around where that then it happens. And I honestly, my hope is that Amane doesn't change, simply for the fact that I think it'd be more interesting. I think it's more interesting than to have had, you know, 2 characters that we saw as basically irredeemable or really, really complicated, and people kind of voted innocent and then guilty for, and all these other things, right? And then, like, had more going on, like, instead of having them both happen, because you have to remember, like, through Trial 3, we didn't have one for Haruka, we didn't have one for Shido, we didn't have one for Mahiru, so that was essentially, like, half the cast taken out of, right? And it's kind of like the same thing where now that we have seen 2 characters who have been 2 that have been the most controversial in universe be forgiven or show resentment or forgiveness, it then kind of almost takes away from the tension, right? Where it's like, okay, well, these 2 have, you know, suddenly were resolved within Trial 3, so now we can just assume that the other controversial characters are just going to get resolved in a peaceful manner, right? It's like, oh, Makoto, he's controversial. Well, it'll just play out fine in the end because you know, the last two really controversial ones had that happened. Or, you know, it's like, oh, with what the fuck's her face, right? The social fascist. You know, her, you know, she's suddenly forgiven and she feels sorry for it because she's in a muzzle and everything. So I just think that it would be more interesting to see the opposite of that happen, where, you know, something similar with what Mu happens with Amane, but then it's like, okay, roll it back a little bit. And maybe she misinterprets it or something like that. But also at the same time, it's like, well, Amane's my fucking goat, so I don't really care. As long as I get more of her, that's all that really matters to me. And I'm still just going to vote guilty on her because I want to see what happens. And it is also one of those things where it's like, oh, she feels bad now? Yeah, but she still killed 2 people. And has she been given the time to actually reprimand those? Like, it is one of those things where with Mu specifically, that was in the past. And the entirety of Milgram has been her working up to it. Amane actively did things now within Milgram to where it's a little bit harder to suddenly say, okay, now she deserves innocent because now she feels a little guilty about it. But there's been no... It's all talk. She's just talking. She's just saying these things. There's nothing actually being done or actions being taken that say otherwise. And that's also kind of one of the downfalls of this idea of a 3-trial structure, where this is the last audio drama, right? So it really doesn't matter if she says that she's going to she wants forgiveness, or if she doesn't, because we're not going to see anything after this. So we're basically just going to be having to take her at her word. And are we just going to say that we're going to take her at her word and accept that because she said so? And we know from an outside meta perspective that that does lead to the fact that she will change. We just won't see it, kind of like with Mu. Or are we going to be naive with it and just say that we're accepting it despite the fact that this is coming from Amane? Trump gets up on the stage and he says, I'm sorry for everything that I did. Breaks down crying. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Do you accept it? He means it, but do you accept it? Like, you can hear the words that he says. He's clearly means it, at least in this moment. Do you accept it? Or do you need something more? And in this scenario, you will not be able to see if he follows through on it later. Do you take him at his word? Or are you just going to say, fuck you, I don't give a shit if you feel bad?
Kanshi-san, あなたの進む道がいいものになることを祈って。Kanshi-さんにいいことがあればいいなって私が思ってます。
Actually doesn't. Hold up. There we go. That looks better.
ありがとう。
はい、Kanshiさん、お元気で。
百瀬天音、お前の罪を歌え。
What the fuck am I doing? Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I'm milking it. I'm milking it now. I'm milking it. It's only the voice drama this time around. I'm not doing the music video in a single video because this video is 50 minutes fucking long. And I'm milking it. I'm gonna do another one. Yeah, look at that, huh? Yeah, look at that, huh? Yeah. Ooh. All right. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, I was serious about that. If you want to see more, there'll be another video up soon. Support me in the links in the description. I'm very poor and I need money. Thanks, bye. Thank you to all the pirates out there, and the members of the Ultimate Fleet, aka the members and Patreon subscribers. Sleepy Sheepy, Lolo Bartazal, Finch R, Sauline, Belle, Emanali, Lily McMillan, Claire, Shira, Sammy Raki, Angel313, Peachy Bun, Andrew Ortega, Ariana Henry, Yoan, Test, Booglarka Boggy, Another Dragon, Moonzay W, On You, Lind the Vocaloid Nerd ARG, Distar, Leah, Yui Izumi, L, Chocobo/Chris, Annie, Shi Guang, Number 1 Ash Bradley fan, Michaela Malone, Gondala, Tetrisk, Sin, Ten's husband, Questionable Decision, Indami Sochiro, Purest Failure, Shelly, Joe, Futa Kajiyama, Nami WP, Kaku, Mono, Undying Flames, Nail, Rookie Go Boom, Pregnant Valentino, Hey, Makoto Kayano, Tom, 001 Love Haru, Tavita, Haruka Sakurai, Anna Beatrice, Ariana Scroggins, Zaraya Yavuz, Hanya Janakawaska, Maria Rosales, Salav, Game Roblox, Catherine Stacy, Mealy, Mary, Uwu Owo Gur, Levi's Wife, Leached Mocha, Swag_Master 20007, Turkey Wacky, Gloomeray, Rin, Irina, Goodlock, Raito Caparidia, Linny Louis Kinzel, Nicholas Ponce, Berwin Govandi, Miles Cask Barbary, Chris Boykin, Bohm Dia Now, Smelty Jr. And now for the paid tiers, starting with Fresh Pirates / Crewmate, Shelly, Haruka Sakurai, Godlock, Mealy, Sleepy Sheepy, Swag_Master 20007, Lentil, Angel313, Flowers, and now for the Nakama or Comrade tier, Saltline, Makoto Kayano, and Shelly. And finally, an enormous declaration of veneration for their support to the revolution and my channel. Those being the highest paid members of all time, Saltline, Possum, and Angel313, and Shelly. Thank you all so much for so much that you have given. And thank you to everyone else as well for keeping me afloat. If you wish to support me, you can do so through the links in the description down below. You can join the members or Patreon for as low as $2.50 a month, and you'll have your name read off at the beginning and end of every video, or join for free to get your name listed at the beginning and end of every video. You can also do donations, one-time super chats, or other things as well. Thank you for all of your support. I couldn't do it without you.